Hello. Welcome to Anything Bowl Where Anything Goes. My name's Miguel.
I'm Brendan.
And welcome to episode 81, folks. Today on the docket, we've got another packed fun day for you, including the Hunger Games, the second Hunger Games, the third Hunger Games, the fourth one, and the fifth one, the new one, the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
The prequel.
Yes, the prequel. Along with the newest episode of Invincible, kind of a weird double episode combination type of Allen thing.
And another surprise show we will get to at the end.
And another surprise. Yes.
Yes.
The one that you watched.
Yes.
Part of. Blue Mountain State.
Ooh, we could always talk about
We were watching that a little bit before we came.
Yeah.
Brendan.
Yeah.
How's your day?
Pretty good.
I
did absolutely nothing.
Go fuck yourself.
It was very relaxing.
That's not fair. My day was literally the entire opposite.
Now that
in unison now.
Yes.
Brendan, how do you want to do this? Do you want to talk about the newest one first and then get into the discussion about the old Hunger Games, or do you want to just like go in order? I think we should do the newest one first and then like backtrack.
I like that idea. I don't think we need to go into the rest of them individually, but like
I would like to go into the rest
a little
of them.
bit, but we don't need to do like a breakdown.
I mean, well,
yeah,
you could do it like a combination thing. We don't really do tier lists right now.
No,
but we could definitely just be like talk about them,
yeah,
and then be like, all right, so this is clearly the worst one, and then it goes up from here. Which one is clearly the worst one?
The third one.
Yep, Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah.
Agree. That's an easy one. So, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. What do you think the opening box office is like?
The first day was about 15, so I'm going to go with the first. We're still only on Saturday, so I'm going to go with about like 80.
80?
Yeah.
The Ballad. So, first of all, that is a long fucking title. Opening day, it made 20.
Oh.
It's predicted to make 45 to 46, which is almost as much as the Marvels did. If it breaks 48, it outperformed a Marvel movie, which we all thought was fucking impossible until last week.
Not really. I mean, the Hunger Games is like a huge fucking deal. I don't know why it took them this long to make this one. This book's been out for a while, I believe.
Well,
anyway.
I think the whispers of it have been
since the original one.
Yeah.
But like those ended like
almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, these movies. It's not like $1 billion franchise, but like the second one made almost $900 million.
Jesus Christ.
So it's not like movie per movie $1 billion, but it's still pretty up there. And I mean, a $50 million weekend for the domestic is not atrocious.
Especially for something that probably didn't have like $800 million budget like a superhero movie.
And there was really no, the strike had just ended right before it came out into theater. So there's not a lot of
media things.
What the fuck is the word?
Budget.
No, that's not it.
Marketing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was fucking difficult. I was never going to remember to. All right, now what do we think the budget is?
The budget? I'm going to go with $450.
$450 million?
Yeah.
For the budget?
Yeah. I don't make movies, man. I don't know how much fucking money goes into these.
It's $100 million.
Okay.
Which seems about on par.
It's actually really cheap.
I know. Well,
it's pretty cheap.
Compared to what we're used to with Marvel and things of the comet or Disney rather.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Deadpool was more than that. And they couldn't even afford to give him guns.
Deadpool I think it was like 150. It
was more.
I know, but I'm saying like what we're used to this year is like left and right. They're like Ant-Man 250, the Marvels 250, Indiana Jones 250.
This is a lot of like practical sets in this movie.
Oh yeah, completely. A lot of like hard work and clear like enjoyment for the series put into this.
And that's where I want to start with this movie.
I think the director's the same as the last couple.
This movie had the fucking like I don't know what the fuck you think I'm gonna say, but its vibe was on point. Like
it was fucking stellar.
It was so good,
dude. Right off the bat,
1920s fucking post-war.
It was so nice.
It was awesome. The Art Deco kind of shit.
Let's be honest, right from the jump.
Industrialization.
We both fucking love this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes at a 61 with an audience score of 90 compared to the others. The lowest is about 70.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's my favorite Hunger Games movie. It's up there. But this shit is stellar. It has no right being as good as it is because the person that carried the Hunger Games originally was Jennifer Lawrence. She was the face of it.
But only for the first two. After that, she was bringing it down.
Yes. She was this like big star, whatever. You had the young Hemsworth who nobody fucking cares about.
Even her.
And you had this concept of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But then you come into this one, they're like, oh, we're going to talk about President Snow for almost 3 hours. And you're like, that's a stretch. And then Tom Blythe, the actor who plays him, fucking delivers, man, on the like psychotic turn.
See,
at a point, it was rushed.
At a point, it was rushed in a way where I didn't know what was happening. I thought he kind of had like a good heart at first.
Yes.
And everything.
It was a whiplash. Every other scene, it was man, I feel great. I want to do this. I love this girl. And then the next scene, he's like, why the fuck are you doing that against the Capitol?
Yeah.
What is your problem?
Okay, so here's the only thing I really. This is the only flaw with the movie. Genuinely, is that it's too long and could have been 2 movies.
I told Timmy in the car, this is a trilogy worth of shit.
No,
Yes.
it doesn't need to be stretched into that, but it could have very easily been 2 movies. It would have been the love story turning into the Hunger Games, and then
His turn and after the
his
Hunger
turn
Games?
and corruption into who he was, and instead of ending it where he goes to college, end it when he becomes president.
Yes.
And that's your 2 movies. And I forgot to completely look this up or not, but I thought their story ended completely differently. I thought that they were in the games together and everything.
That's what the marketing made it seem like, and I'm sure it was on purpose.
But it may have been Woody Harrelson's character. I thought like told that story, or it may have been someone else. Like
I have no idea.
The story's in my mind, and I have no idea where that happened, or if I made it just up in my head completely. But I thought that they like made it to the edge of the world or something, and she touched like the border and didn't realize it, kind of like in 2, where there's a force field, and it like murdered her.
Yeah. No, and this one instead of like a giant arena that's full of like weird biological things and traps, it's just a big room.
Yeah, and it's got
Sip it up with your mouth. Come on, pretty boy.
I like.
Sip it up.
Can you shut the have any napkins down here?
No, we don't. No. I think my dad's upstairs.
What I really liked about it was that the way that the original movies made it seem is that it was just like this futuristic thing, and it kind of took place in the future, and it was whatever, and all the other things were closer to our time period because they were poorer.
Yes.
But this just seems like a completely alternate time. Like they showed a map of it for the first time. It's generally believed to be like the United States kind of thing.
Yeah,
and they were like escaping to Canada on the plot.
Yeah,
really,
basically. Yeah.
Just Wolverine.
Good movie.
But they showed a map, and it generally the shape of it. But there's like a couple things missing, obviously, because it's supposed to be fictional.
Yes.
But
Pan Am.
So the only other flaw I genuinely have with this movie is the girl from District 12. Who she was not originally from District 12, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but they didn't specify where she started from. But seeing
Coventry.
This girl who's supposed to be living in the equivalent of the American Northeast, who's Hispanic, but sounds
Hispanic?
like a white woman from Texas, was very jarring to watch. She's in real life. You know where she's from?
Where?
New Jersey.
Yeah, I saw that.
And like she did it well, but like I don't think I've ever
I
like.
don't think she's Hispanic, but it won't load.
Okay.
Look, there's one of the problems I had with this movie is you're right. It's multiple movies in one, and I think you could see a trilogy in that it's the beginning, because he's literally like 2 or 3 different characters at different points in the movie. You have a movie right there of him.
You need to stretch out the love story.
Yes, getting out, the love story, the games, or actually, I think I told Timmy, if you really wanted to really stretch it, lead everything up to the games and then start the second movie with the games. Then it's the games and the downfall and all this shit going on.
There should have been a second games where he was in them.
Yes, and then it's, you literally get like an hour and a half into the movie, and it feels like this big jump. You're like, oh, the Hunger Games. Oh my God, she's gonna live. She wins, and then there's another hour in the fucking movie. Literally, the 2.5 hour runtime, it's at the hour and a half mark is where the Hunger Games ends.
I need you to look up the cast for me really quick, because there was something running through my head the entire movie.
Yeah.
His best friend, who became a rebel, who they, spoilers, hung, he looked, once they cut his hair off, exactly like Vincent D'Onofrio, and I feel like it's his son. He just looked like him way too much.
Sorry, it's a very long title. Do you remember what his friend's name was?
It's a made-up name, so no.
Josh Andres Rivera.
So definitely not.
No.
He just looked so much like him, and I thought that he was gonna kind of slip in it, but it's just like. So,
he's also in West Side Story.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's touch on that, because I didn't have a problem with this, but it was so weird that there was so much singing.
There was so much singing, and mind you, right? We're reviewing this from the point of view of people who've never read the book. Or read any of the books.
I read the first one.
I've never read any of the books. We're judging it off of that. I don't know if she's like a big singing character in the book, because I know that this actress can sing really well. That's why she's going to be Snow White and whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's this huge focal point of her singing and singing in this accent, and there's points where she got a very belty Broadway voice. There's points where she's really going off and she's like fucking belting at the top of her lungs. And it feels so out of place, because in one scene she's singing and dancing on the stage, and the next scene, President Snow is taking a gun and he's shooting some woman in the back, And then he's grabbing her head and being like, you're going to go outside and you're going to sing and you're going to pretend that nothing just happened. And then some guy with a shotgun shoots someone else.
I love that.
And then she goes back and sings. That was a twitch.
Yeah. Wow.
She sounds great.
Yeah, it really caught me off guard because I didn't realize that she was the one from West Side Story. Yeah. So when she gets called and she's singing her song, she did very good at showing emotion while singing. Yeah. And then when she just kind of like wasn't even belting, she just screamed at the end, and it was kind of horrifying. A
little bit.
And it was like
it got the point across of the emotion.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I actually hated her at the beginning because of her intro,
but her character developed a little bit.
It did, and I'm like, I don't like you because you just seem like you're going to be another difficult person.
It feels like the intro they were trying too hard.
Like they were trying to mimic Jennifer Lawrence's character a little bit, but you didn't have any backstory for her, so you didn't give a fuck. And then you're like, who's this bitch who's like so angry?
She's like, look, I'm wearing this thing that my mom made, and I'm singing on stage, and I put a snake down someone's dress, and now I'm bowing and shit.
It's because it's his story, not hers.
Yes. As an introduction, I understand why they did it, but it felt entirely overdone. Yeah. It's so fucking overblown. But then as the movie goes on, the accent's a little weird because it feels a little out of place for who she is.
You can see her really trying to do it in her dress. She kind of like does like this kind of shit a lot.
My mama made me this dress.
Yeah. And it's just like, you just look like you're grinding your teeth. Like that's not a normal accent.
As the movie goes on, she becomes a lot more lovable. And you can kind of feel for her, and you kind of feel for like this. I understand, right? The romance portion is really just them being like, oh, she's like a fish out of water right now, and she's like fighting for her life. Yeah. And because this person's being so nice to her and doing all these things, maybe she's confusing like the affection she has for someone helping her for real love, and it turns into like a relationship. Whatever. Yeah. We see how it becomes bad in the end.
Which I don't like how they didn't wrap that up.
Yeah. And what's funny too is
are they going to come out with another? Like, do you think?
Well, let's think, right? So in the end of the movie, where the two of them wind up running off together. This is where his turn as the Joker kind of comes, where he's slowly turning, then he finds a gun and he's like losing his marbles a bit, and then the birds are singing and she's singing and he's like shooting the birds and shooting everything. He shot her once and then you never see her again. I like that it's ambiguous, but the fact that after that they end it with him being like, look, I've become snow. Now I'm studying. Look at all this. I feel like that's it.
So here's what I will say with that.
No.
I don't think she was there.
You think he's just crazy?
I think that when he got bit, it did have venom in it. He started hallucinating. The birds were there. It was driving him fucking mad. He saw something move and went, it must be her.
Oh, she was gone.
But then again, he did trail her, and he's like, where is she? She was very much in the trees. Yeah. She just climbed into the trees. It kind of brings me back to before where like earlier in the movie where he's just like, no, I'm doing what's right and I'm doing it for like love and everything. And like, it didn't seem like he was crazy when he was doing it at first. It seemed like he was kind of justified. Yeah. And then it like slowly changed.
Yeah. And it kind of felt like, what's her name in Game of Thrones? Daenerys.
Yes.
It kind of feels like that in where there's certain points throughout their story where you're like, maybe they're a little crazy because they said this thing. And then you get to the ending and you're like, oh, they're crazy. You should have seen this from the beginning. Yeah. That's the vibe that it gives me because it's
well, you know who did?
What?
You know who did?
What?
Do you know who noticed it from the beginning?
Who noticed it?
His sister the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is like
Tigress. And that's also, you realize who that is?
The girl from Euphoria. The girl guy from Euphoria.
What? No, I'm saying she's from Mockingjay, Part 2.
No, she's not.
She is. Maybe not that actress, but the character. Tigress? You remember when they randomly hide in Mockingjay Part 2, like in a basement?
That was her!
And there's a tiger woman? Yeah.
That was cool.
Right.
Also, someone who went into the arena had the same last name of Evansby, and I believe that's Plutarch's last name, but I could be wrong there. The game maker who betrayed the Capitol and helped Katniss in the final 2 films. So one of his ancestors or mother or whatever, which is probably why he was on their side, because she died in the thing. But yeah, back to his sister.
Yes.
They didn't give her anything to do.
Well, she was a cousin. So cousins that usually aren't allowed to do anything. They just
it wasn't a sister?
No, cousin.
It was just like, she was like, oh, no, but like, don't be dad, or your dad, don't be your dad. No, don't be, and it's just like,
I'm not my dad, don't worry.
She didn't really do anything. It was just always like reaction shots, and I feel like you could have did more with that character.
Yeah, there's definitely more to have done there. I also think that if they never talked about her again, I really wouldn't give a shit.
No, it was not needed. It was just a connection that I didn't even notice.
Yeah. I noticed it. The second it was, I heard something that she was in it, or that the character was mentioned. And the minute I hear Tigress, I was like, that's a very particular name.
I kept thinking that the whole movie, and not once did I make that connection.
Yes, I think.
Is that accurate, or are you assuming that?
No, that's accurate.
Okay.
You know what I really hated? Was the arbitrary need to mention Katniss's name a couple times in the end, of them being like, oh my God, I gotta go pick these weeds. We call them blah, 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 but I just like to call them Katniss. I was like,
you know what was really funny?
What?
Whenever there was a connection or something that people noticed, the crowd was just like, oh, and it wasn't like cheering or like applause, but you would hear like a murmur in the crowd.
Like, oh my God.
And they were like, it's Katniss, and it was dead silent, because I think everyone in unison was like, I didn't need that.
the first time we really didn't need it.
Yeah, where she's
the second or third time,
it's a weed, but I like to call it Katniss.
She's like, I'm gonna go outside right now and pick some Katniss.
Yeah.
And Tom Blythe is like, I found a gun. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna pick some Katniss. And we're like, we got it. Okay, that's enough. Stop it.
See, that time it didn't bother me as much. The first time it did, because she like lingered on.
Yeah,
She's like, it's a much more beautiful name, right? And,
Katniss.
And he even stopped for like a half a second. Was like, not really.
That really is just a name for apparently.
Yeah,
allegedly a name I've never heard before.
And I mean, her sister's also Primrose, which is based off of the flower as well in the universe. So
yes. Are we stupid? Is that like an actual thing?
I don't think so.
I have no idea. Nice.
So,
what else didn't I like?
That was really it. I loved everything.
Let's talk about the actual Hunger Games.
Yeah.
It's funny how it was PG-13 and it was like, this is violent, but we're going to make it as non-violent as possible.
The Pitchfork
and then they're like,
was not doing it for me.
No, not at all. And then it's like, I'm going to skewer this person.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and cut this person in the neck. I'm going to hang this poor boy.
I'm going to poison this dude, who I believe was in one of the Halloween movies we watched, and You season 3. It
feels like a very deep cut. Hold on. One of the boys.
The one who got poisoned when they were in the vent, he was like one of the last four of them alive, and she sprinkled it over top of him, which is, while you Google that, I'm going to talk about this.
Okay.
They completely introduced the fact that he's known for poisoning people, and the first people he poisoned, he made someone else do, and then at the end poisoned Peter Dinklage. Like, he's set up to be a guy who just poisoned people from step one. It was just, I like that they touched on it, and I didn't even realize it at first.
Let's talk about cast.
Did you find the guy I was talking about?
No, I can't. There's two people from this cast besides the two leads that I really want to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is Peter Dinklage.
Yes.
Homie always comes to work and puts in the effort. Even if some of the writing isn't perfect, and even if his death scene looks kind of shitty, homie comes in and he's like, I'm a drunk. I'm kind of scarred from this. I'm going to do fucked up stuff.
Just fucking love that Peter Dinklage is just such an A-list actor now that I, once again, didn't read the book, so I don't know if he's supposed to be a dwarf or not, but he's never playing a dwarf. Yeah. He's playing Peter Dinklage, and no one ever acknowledges the fact that he's a dwarf.
Fucking great.
But you know there's got to be that one asshole in class who's just like, fucking Dean's a dwarf, man.
He's like, he's fucking shorter than me. I can kick him in the face.
Yeah, like you're telling me there's not one asshole in that class?
Yeah.
And no one acknowledges it. And the other one, which I think I know who you're going to talk about, Viola Davis.
Yes, Viola Davis is a cartoon character.
So that's not what I was going to say. I actually usually hate Viola Davis because she plays the same character over and over again, this badass, strong woman. And in this, she was unhinged, and I loved it. It was so good.
She was like, I made snakes. The snakes are like water, and they just engulf you. Stop spilling the beer.
There's something there.
For fuck's sake.
It was so nice to see her play a different character, and I actually would like to see more of her. Yeah. And it's very weird for me to say this because I constantly talk shit about when they do this and stuff, like Star Wars and things like that. Yeah. Where I'm like, stop filling in the gaps. They made this so intriguing. I want more. I want to know.
Davis?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I want to know more weird shit she did. I want to know what happens after the movie.
No, I want
to see the two of them, because he goes from being this like nice guy who cares about the Capitol, who cares about structure and the government and whatever, and trying to move up because, you know, he needs money, whatever. He has this huge turn where he becomes this crazy psychopathic asshole. Yeah. She's already fucking crazy. What happens when the two of them are just like meshed together nonstop for like 5 or 10 years? Is that why he becomes the guy that's like, I'm going to murder some children with bombs?
You know, yeah. I think that's what, once again, I don't know his story. I don't know if there is more to this that like happened in the book that they did cut it off. But I think the next one should be his college career with Viola Davis.
Yes.
He turns into President Snow, and she's down there or up there, wherever she's Canada. And she
Canada.
technically starts another revolution, kind of like Katniss,
Mm.
but this is young, ruthless Snow, and he fucking squashes it.
Oh,
Just
so you know this already? Or
no,
this is
I'm
what you
saying
want?
that's what I want to see.
No,
Like,
I don't think I need it, because if you have another revolution at this point in the
but it's
game,
not.
where
You
it's
don't
11,
even get to that point.
he squashes it before it happens.
Yeah, like he
Or
sees
it's
her
the
pop
beginning
up. He
of a
goes,
revolt.
"It's the beginning of a revolt," and he's like, "It's fucking her." And he's just like,
He's
"You know what?"
basically, he hops on the news and he's like, if you step foot in my country, I will
Like,
strike you where
he
you
has
stand.
to kill her essentially, but you
Of course.
see him win. It's his movie. It's his Infinity War.
Yes.
That's what I want it to be.
The Hunger Games Infinity War. The Hunger
Infinity
Games, The
Games.
Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes 2.
And you know what you do? You make
Infinity
that
War.
like 10, 15 years from then.
Yeah.
It's the 25th. It's the Quarterquell again.
Prequel, the first one.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because then she shows up, she's like, I'm here against the Hunger Games. And he's like, want to see some white roses?
Yeah.
Bang.
Hollywood, I'm available.
I'm actually a pretty good writer myself. I got a lot of good ideas.
I'm not, but I'm good with ideas. You
I'm
want me
proud
to
of
write dialogue or some shit? They all gonna
Bad
act
idea.
autistic.
Okay, so The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah.
I'll give it like a 7. I think that's what I said. It's there's room for improvement. It was too long. It could easily be 2 or 3 movies if you really want to stretch it. But regardless, the 2 leads, Peter Dinklage, Viola Davis, a lot of the acting.
Those are not the leads.
Those no, the Rachel Zegler, Tom Blythe, and then Viola Davis and
Yes,
Peter
Peter
Dinklage.
Dinklage.
Between the 4 of them, even with
Even
its
his
faults,
best friend, he was great. In
his
this
best
too.
friend was pretty good too.
Yeah.
With all of those, brings it back up
Yeah.
like a 7, maybe 7.5.
So I would have given it a 9 if it wasn't
Wow.
so long. Because the first half of the movie, I was truly just loving it. I was like, "This is fucking phenomenal."
Like, this is great. And then there's
directing,
another
the
movie.
art direction, the history that you're building here,
The design of the stadium after it
the
explodes.
storytelling you're telling within universe is really what got
Yes.
me. Like, you're not even the dialogue of the story, what's happening, just seeing
Just
that the
showing
Hunger
everything,
Games
yes.
started off as just a rudimentary, just arena,
and
a
they're
battle
so
royale in
worried
a
about
coliseum.
it. They're like, we're going to cancel the Hunger Games, man.
Yeah.
Our ratings are in the fucking can.
Yeah.
What are we going to
And
do?
the fact that twist, it was just like, these were never meant to be. And your father, the one who did it. So the Hunger Games started and ended with a snow.
Ah.
And I love as well with Peter
That's
Dinklage
so
with the really
crazy.
fucking bad snow pun. And then after he kills him, he's like, "Snow always falls on top." And I'm like, "That's bad too, but you earned that, so I'll give it to you."
It's the end of the movie. You can have it.
Yeah.
Fine. I get it.
But like the fact that he said those dumb things to you, you're not saying it because you think it's clever. You're saying it because he's an ass and he
That's
liked
right.
it.
100%.
And that I thought was perfect.
What do you give it then? A 9?
I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay. So the median we'll say is an 8,
Yeah.
which is still
Really good.
Pretty good.
Higher than the other ones.
will it wind up in our list of our favorite movies of the year?
Probably.
Probably, because we've seen a lot of bullshit this year.
We have.
So then let's regroup now. Let's talk beginning of the franchise.
Yeah.
First Hunger Games.
First Hunger Games was a fucking phenomenon.
Think of it.
It
Wait, hold
changed the. It
Brendan.
made its way.
Brandon, take your mind back. Year's 2012. Facebook is on the map. You're about to start high school soon. You're in middle school. You're thinking, wow, man, this summer's about to be crazy. I'm moving schools. It's going to be amazing. The iPhone 4S is there. We're having a great time. The Galaxy S5 is there. Everyone's having a great time. 4K TVs have just become into existence. And fucking Jennifer Lawrence is on your TV. You, in the beginning of your puberty mind, go, that's a nice looking lady. What's her bow and arrow going to do? The Hunger Games. There you go. I painted a
You
little
just
picture for
went
you.
off. So what was wild for me is growing up, we didn't really have anything like this, at least
No.
for people
For
like us.
Yes. I mean, it's a YA novel, so it makes
When
sense.
we were younger and everything, Twilight was a thing, but it was mainly for the
Fuck
girls.
that. We were
so
never
like
like
wasn't
them.
it wasn't our
You
thing.
team Edward or team Jacob? I'm team go fuck yourself. How about that?
I was busy reading fucking Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Not my Roderick. Let's go. I didn't watch
You
any
see
of
that?
those.
You lost me entirely. Oh my god! Wait, that was a meme. Not my
Yeah.
Roger. I remember.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of
Stupid.
those. But
So
the memes are back for that, and I'm loving it.
I hate it.
Turn around.
So the first Hunger Games.
The first Hunger Games.
84% on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 81.
I'm not gonna lie.
You're
The
not gonna
first
lie.
time I saw it, it was so good.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I went
my
to the
God.
bookstore and bought
Oh
a
my
fucking
God.
book
Did you
and
read it? Oh my
And I
gosh.
read it in a week. And before that, the shortest it took me to read a book was 3 months because I fucking hated reading. And in
yeah.
that, I couldn't put it down. And I was just was in love with it.
Yeah,
And then they're like, we're gonna make a sequel immediately. I'm like, are you kidding? There's more than one of
Bring it on.
these.
Bring
There's
it
a
on,
story, and
motherfucker.
people who read the books, like Isaiah and other people in my class,
Bro,
were
this is
just
like a 1 year turnaround for each one of these movies.
yeah.
That's
And she won an Oscar in between them.
oh, that's right. Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
Good movie. Very
And
good.
then she became somehow worse in these movies after she won that Oscar.
Yeah. So
Um,
the first Hunger Games. I also saw it in theaters. When I was younger, I didn't go to the movies too often. It was like a couple times a year type of thing.
Yeah.
When I was, at this point, we were what? 12? 11?
12. I was in 8th grade.
I was on Facebook because my mom told me Facebook was a good idea.
Yeah.
And I remember clearly falling in love with Katniss and messaging random Katniss Facebook pages, being like, I love you, and like confessing my love to them, only for their moderators who were adults to be like, this isn't a real person. This is a fan page. Please stop. And then I went, that does make sense. That was my 12-year-old brain.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever told anyone that.
That's a deep cut right there. And now it's on the internet.
Yeah. So
you're gonna have a talk tonight.
The Hunger Games. I think from a stylistic standpoint, from a cast standpoint, they fucking nailed it right out of the park.
So good.
From the start. If Jennifer Lawrence wasn't like so ingrained in this character right from the jump, would have been dead on arrival.
You know what's even more wild for me?
What?
Before that, the Game
Pizza?
Maker was the only thing I've ever seen him in was Ghost Rider. And he was the villain in Ghost Rider. And then
The Game Maker.
The Game Maker with the
the guy with the
swirly
fucked up
beard.
Oh, that they hung?
Yeah, no. She hung him in their test. They made him eat the berries. Which I love that they did the exact same thing to Snow in the new movie with his poison. They put it in there and like, eat it, bitch. Also, when I know we kind of moved past it, but it's just real quick. When he put that thing in the snake container that smelt like her, took me like 15 fucking minutes to realize why he did that. I'm like, what, does he notice something? He put more poison in there? She can't kill all those snakes.
That was one of the scenes I hated because he somehow got she escorted him into the thing and then just like turned around and left. And he was just there and was like, I'm going to go sneak through your shit. Yeah. And it wasn't at any point where he was there by himself or when he ran up to the corner or when he ran out next to the thing where there's a helicopter and a bunch of people standing by or when he came back from the helicopter or came back to leave the building. At no point in a building that he's only been in one other time did anyone go, what's this guy doing?
It's not like he blends in. He's the only fucking dude with
he's
white
the only
hair.
Dude with white
like
hair
20,
in a fucking red jacket and
with
shit.
A skirt.
Exactly.
That was the weirdest uniform.
A little bit, yeah.
Just one more thing. It really bothered me that I just remembered because you mentioned that.
Yeah.
When he's sneaking out of the compound in 12, there's a wall right here and he's hiding behind it. He's like, okay, no one's looking, time to go. And he runs, jumps on the truck, and the camera pans this way, directly on the opposite side of where he was standing.
Cameras?
Where there's 4 fucking guards standing there. And he hops on the truck, and I'm like, I know we were looking that way, but are you telling me none of these motherfuckers saw him standing there?
It makes you realize that it was all deliberate. You know, in the end, Viola Davis is like, you passed all my tests. Everyone knew, or a chunk of people knew, and they just like let a bunch of shit go.
No.
That was the whole point.
They didn't know at all.
I don't believe that. You're going to tell me those guards are that fucking stupid?
I think the head guy knew. I think that certain people did know. And yes, they didn't fucking know shit. They're that stupid. They were doing whatever, or that was just a flaw that I saw. Okay. Her tests were solely designed for him, and she gave him everything he needed to succeed, but no one was in on it. That's why the birds were there. That's why because she placed all the tools for him to do what he needed to, and he did everything flawlessly. Which I don't know if he becomes a game maker or if he just becomes president, but I would also like to see in a sequel if before he is president, he runs his own fucking games.
Yeah, but he's kind of like a psychopath.
That's why it's good. That's why we're excited for Folie à Deux. We don't watch Joker because he's a good guy. We watch it because he's a psychopath.
He's a happy dude. Happy-go-lucky little man.
Sure.
Can't wait. I can't wait for us to talk about the first Joker too, so everyone could be like, "This is the greatest movie I've ever seen," and I could just be like, "It's not."
I just made me depressed.
Yeah, that's
a lot,
especially when he goes into the fridge. You don't remember? He cleans out his fridge and then he gets in it, and then.
Oh yeah, no, that's not no.
Oh, okay.
It just made for some reason that movie.
Is it when he killed Robert De Niro?
No, that was excellent. That movie was so dramatic in his isolation that it made me feel alone even if I wasn't. That's why that fucked with me.
The first Hunger Games. Gotta reel it back.
Gotta reel back in. Fuck Robert didn't know.
I wouldn't want to do that. No. Didn't he just have it? No, that was Al Pacino. Al Pacino just had
Al Pacino? Al Patino.
Mandy Patinkin. So right after
why do I know that name?
Because of How I Met Your Mother. Mandy Patinkin. So right after the Hunger Games is where they begin the horrible, atrocious, and annoying trend of these long fucking titles Do we start with The Hunger Games Catching Fire? Understandable. You know, The Hunger Games is your umbrella term. It's a franchise now at this point. I get it.
Yeah.
But then you go from The Hunger Games Catching Fire to Mockingjay Part 1, Part 2, or The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah, but you don't really have like a pedestal to stand on since you're a Fall Out Boy fan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's anyway. The Hunger Games Catching Fire, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes with an 89% audience score. Not that Rotten Tomatoes is like the fucking gold standard, but it's just what I have in front of me.
I just want to throw this out there real quick because most people probably don't know what the fuck that reference was. Fall Out Boy has very long song titles.
Thank you.
It just seemed like I was talking shit, and I just like there's a reason.
Well, okay. You do like to talk shit. So.
I love it.
The Hunger Games Catching Fire, easily the best one. Like without a second fucking thought.
No,
I think so.
I think it's a phenomenal film. Yeah. But once again, remembering the cultural impact of the first one and the fact that I've seen the first one like 9 times now. Yeah. And when it watched the first time, that movie was terrific. Rewatching them and watching them again, it kind of lost something. Yeah. So I still think number 1's the best, but number 2 was phenomenal.
It's incredibly close.
Yeah.
I think Catching Fire is...
Bad's in it.
Yes. I love it only because it's exactly what you should do with a sequel, where it takes a lot of the subject of the original, it does something very similar, but it refines it, so it looks more polished. The costume design is better. The story itself, you already know the characters, so they can develop a bit further. Even though
Lenny Kravitz dies.
Lenny Kravitz gets fucking murdered.
In front of our eyes.
The new Hunger Games are...
How did we not mention that?
That was a deep-ass breath.
The new host of the Hunger Games was hilarious.
He was
in all the right ways.
Yes, he was.
And you can clearly tell that he's the inspiration for what Stanley Tucci's character is.
Yeah, but Stanley Tucci did it better.
Well,
because it's Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, but you can I like, once again, not as far as acting goes, but in universe, you could tell where just everything comes from, the foundations of so much.
Well, because it's also the same dude, the same guy that directed it. What is it, Francis Lawrence? I'm 99% sure. Hold on, I need to scroll. Yeah, this guy directed 4 out of all 5. So it makes...
Which one did he not direct?
The first one. He directed all the rest, Francis Lawrence. So it totally feels like someone who knows and understands the universe that he's in and wants to continue to explore it. I mean...
And I appreciate that. If only other things like Star Wars did that. But, they fired
is it really that hard for someone making a fucking Star Wars movie or TV show to be like, yeah, let me talk to fans or like previous people who have made things instead of just doing random shit.
I know this is off the beaten path a little bit.
Entirely.
I'm just gonna mention it because I mentioned Star Wars and the person who's doing it, J.J. Abrams.
The
Cloverfield universe is finally getting more.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
I dove so deep into it. The lore is all online.
Brendan, I just finished up a 9-hour YouTube video about the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. Okay, shout out to that guy.
Fault.
Gibby. That's his YouTube video. Gibby. Good idea, bad idea. What a fucking effort. He's watching Jennifer Lawrence on TikTok. What a fucking star of a video. The Hunger Games Catching Fire.
Yes.
Stay on the beaten path.
Yes. It's bad.
What? Catching Fire?
Is that the second or third one?
That's the second one.
Oh, good. Very good.
Catching Fire is fucking phenomenal. Okay. And then you get to this horrible fucking trend, right? The only people I've seen do it correctly are Harry Potter, sort of. And
okay, you didn't watch those. You can't say. What are you talking about?
The splitting up a movie into 2 parts.
No, I'm currently on them right now. I just finished part 1, and I'm waiting to watch part 2.
What the fuck are you watching? Because now this is the 5th time today I've mentioned something, and you go, oh, damn, man, I'm in the middle of that. I made like a random How I Met Your Mother quote upstairs, and you were like, yeah, man, I just passed it. I'm currently
watching How I Met Your Mother as my TV show that I put on in the background. I'm watching the Harry Potter franchise. I have the last movie left, and I hate watching it because they did split it up, and it's fucking long and exhausting, and I don't want to watch the final one. I usually
oh my god, that's like me with Lord of the Rings right now. It's too fucking long.
Also watch something else, which you're going to touch on later. It's not too long. They stretched it out into bullshit with the Harry Potter thing, just like they did in these Hunger Games, which is why it didn't work. And Lord of the Rings, they stretched it out because there was too much. They needed to fit in more.
Okay, so...
We'll touch that next week. Don't worry about it.
You're getting far too fucking passionate about this. Anyway, they had this trend of splitting up movies into 2 parts. The Divergent series did it, and they failed before they could finish.
Nope.
Elaborate, please.
No, they just got canceled before they finished. They didn't split up the movies. It's what it should have been. I've also watched all of those.
On April 11, 2014, Lionsgate announced that The film adaptation would be split into 2 films, with the first part titled The Divergent Series Allegiant Part 1. The film was then retitled to The Divergent Series Allegiant.
Okay, so that's why I didn't notice it.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
And they
again,
didn't finish it, which is so infuriating.
again, the Divergent Series.
Yes.
The Hunger Games. Harry Potter.
Did Maze Runner do it?
Maze Runner.
I'm asking.
I have no idea. I've never seen any of those movies. Twilight. You're really annoying.
I watch a lot of fucking movies. That's why we do the podcast.
When it was initially announced, Infinity War had a part 1 and 2.
I've seen that.
You are infuriating. Okay? I'm just going to Google.
Ask me any movie.
Stop.
That's a good movie.
That was split into 2 parts. Stop.
The
please.
Hobbit. 1 book, 3 movies. Horribly regrettable, but we'll get there.
Understandable. This tab doesn't want to load. Hold on.
Speaking of tabs, this is the Anything Bowl. Thank you for joining us. I'm the transition king.
The Wi-Fi doesn't want to load now. So we're just going to assume off of those. Anyway. It's a horrible trend.
Yeah.
The only people I've seen then, besides Harry Potter, because again, I haven't watched Harry Potter, so if you tell me they're bad, I understand. And I'm not going to watch The Hobbit. The only people that have done it and stuck the landing was Infinity War and Endgame.
But once
Even
again,
though
we're talking about the opposite. We think the last movie we saw should have been 2, so where's the line?
The line is understanding how much story there could be. Listen, if this movie was...
It seemed rushed, and the other one seemed dragged out.
Yes. If this movie was either split in 2 or gone down the route of these crazy fucking movies we've seen recently that to be like 3.5 hours to really flesh it out, fine. That would be different. I think it would be perfect. This is one of those situations where it could have been.
Yeah.
The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 is one of those situations where they fucking shouldn't have and noticed that as they were making the first one, but just didn't have a choice. It was bad.
There's just like...
It's fluff.
Make this more dramatic. Stare at the camera and be in
Long
silence for
shots.
5 fucking seconds.
Long
And 5 seconds
environmental
doesn't sound a lot,
shots.
but it's this.
Showing the scene. There's a plane. Here's the underbelly of the plane. More plane.
That's
the
5
next scene.
seconds.
Yes.
Far too long.
It's so funny too
Should make
because
that a short.
instead of it being like, this could be a 3-hour movie or 3.5 hours, and let me make the last one like 2 hours or whatever, and then let me make the first one a bit shorter, so that way people like they're holding on to shit, like stuff is happening, they're holding on. Instead, both of these movies are like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Not everything needs to be 2.5. If you're going to split it in 2, make it an hour and a half each.
There's easily 45 minutes or an hour that you can cut off of this first Mockingjay movie to make it coherent or
Even
better.
the second one.
The second one too. There's just so much fluff. It's clear that if you took these things happening in this one and these things happening in this one and you shoved them together, you have a good like 2.5, 3 hour movie that's coherent and consistent and shit actually happens. Instead, in this one, you have, I gotta help the people. Look at the plane.
It's action sequence, explain, wait. Action sequence, explain,
Yes.
wait. Tiger's in the middle, stalling out the story some more.
No, see, but that's the last one.
I know. I view them as one. That's what.
That's fair.
Like the traps and
And then
everything, it just takes too fucking
You have
long
the
to move
weird.
through.
You have a really nice like finale where it's it's a rapper. Like a small cliffhanger that they tried to force clearly, where Peter's like choking the
Which
shit out
is
of
just
Katniss.
annoying because you weren't just like, oh no, I wonder what's gonna happen. It's like, give me what needs to happen. Like this can clearly only go one way.
If you're gonna do a part 1 and part 2, you need to make it necessary to see part 1, because then you're like, part 2 is the finale, but you have to see this one so you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Instead, the Mockingjay part 1 opens and it's like they're like meandering because it's right after catching fire. She's like, oh my god, the resistance. Propo shit, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the second one starts, she's like, oh my god, I'm back in bed. He choked the shit out of me. My neck hurts.
I can't talk. I can't scream anymore. Thank God. Thank you. Thank you so much for choking the shit out of her.
Could have just
I
fucking
got
skipped.
so goddamn tired of her going, Peter! Might just max the fuck out.
Yes, it did. Your mic is maxed the fuck out a couple times. Just gonna turn you down a little bit.
Whee! That was weird. Okay. So, what would you rate this series as a whole?
I think for the series, we could do like a letter grade.
Yeah.
I would give this series a B+. I think there's a lot of good.
Yeah.
There's a chunk of bad, but the good, where it is good, like Catching Fire or the nostalgia of the first one or the characterization of Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, really brings it up. But then you have things like Mockingjay Part 1 is basically a dumpster fire most of the time. Catching Fire can feel incredibly repetitive. And this new one is multiple movies shoved into one.
If the third and fourth film were one,
Yeah.
and you just had the original trilogy and the prequel, this would be an A+ series.
100%. But the fact that there's so much fluff just for the need, just for the feeling of needing to fluff it out is what brings it down.
Yeah.
And that's something that happens in so many fucking movie series and things. I'm not saying it's Lord of the Rings. That's just how I feel because I don't want to watch 12 hours of movie. But there's so many movies where you're like, we're clearly meandering here for a couple hours. We could cut all this.
So excited.
I can't
So
fucking
fucking
wait.
wrong.
It's
because you don't care.
I don't at all.
We're gonna do that whole thing next week, but because it's so long, you don't give yourself a chance to get into the lore. But if you actually paid attention to everything that's happening, it's far more intriguing than the average.
I'm falling asleep half the time, so it don't matter.
Keep drinking.
Here we go. Let's rank it. I keep drinking.
Yeah, but I can maintain.
I can. I'm a sleepy person. I'm also. You wake up at like
6:30.
I'm always up at 5. Okay. I'm a sleepy person.
Yeah, but I also go to bed at like midnight, 1 in the morning.
Yeah, our bedtime is like 9 o'clock.
Well, like you're
9:30.
sleeping longer than me, but you're still like knocking out immediately.
That's right.
You gotta push through. Quality over quantity.
So let's go worst to best.
Sure.
What's the obvious worst one? Mockingjay Part 1.
Hold on.
Why are you breathing so heavy right on the microphone?
I'm thinking. 3, 4, 2, 5, 1. Worst to best.
Okay. Okay. You were trying to think of the name. You were trying to think of how you would order them.
Yep.
3. Worst to best. 3, 4, 1, 5, 2.
Really?
Yes. I like the first one,
Mhm.
but with age and rewatches, there's a lot more that I like in the new one and Catching Fire than I do the original.
Yeah. I kind of wish we did it backwards.
What do you mean?
Like watch it in timeline order rather than release order to see how it played a little bit better.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't think it would resonate the same way watching like the prequels before the original trilogy would do, because there's a lot of backstory there to build on, but I feel like there's still a chunk missing in the middle, and this prequel like builds on the universe, but it's not a prequel to the original 4 movies.
I keep thinking about the fucking train. The train had this red eye on the front that was gorgeous.
Oh my god.
And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's very reminiscent of the movie 9, which is just one of the coolest fucking things. And I know you don't give a fuck, but for those of you who are watching this, 12 of you, and who have seen that movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just nothing in this universe explains why the front of that train has a red eyeball on it. And the aesthetic was so fucking good. I also love how even then, they didn't even give a fuck about the recruits. They're like, get in the fucking box. This one's been eaten alive by a bat. And then once you bet to Katniss, you're like, we think that since you're going to die, you might as well have like a good time. And that was the other thing that I didn't realize until I watched this movie. I thought the Capitol, I didn't know people lived in the Capitol. I saw it more of a business tourist district.
The whole thing.
Where I always thought that people from like districts 1 and 2 went to the Capitol whenever they wanted because they liked the Capitol. I didn't realize people just lived there.
No, that's the whole thing. The districts are on the outside and they're a different chunk of it, and the Capitol's in the inside, and it's very self-contained because everything on the outside with the districts fuels and funds the inside.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was great, just the final touches on this, because we keep going like one thing, we come back to
because it's all connected.
Yes, it is. I love the fact that they weren't like everyone in the Capitol is rich and perfect and everything is good. They're like Tom Blythe is here and he's not having a good time. His daddy's dead and they have no money.
See, I thought that was weird.
I thought it was perfect because it's instead of it just being a facade or like this grand idea of like, oh my God, everybody's rich, it's perfect, shiny, whatever.
Yeah.
It's giving character to what it is because it makes you go, oh fuck. This isn't like just an ideal situation. This is an entire fucking thing. There are poor people here.
I also love the fact that Peter Dinklage pointed out, he's like, you're not rich. You're clearly not rich. I know you don't have any money. And you're throwing together this fucking fake outfit because you're just a poor motherfucker.
Trying to live up with everybody.
You're trying to do whatever. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe he threw that together, but it's a pretty nice outfit.
Exactly.
And then the moment he got money, I'm like, oh, wait, no, that's a nice outfit. He was a poor motherfucker.
He got the skirt and everything, right?
No, I'm not. I'm talking
about... That's a joke. Sarcasm.
Sorry. I'm just talking about the final outfit, though, when he like has like the suave haircut and like everything.
Homie goes from like struggling to the real Slim Shady to like a murderous man.
Poor motherfucker to fucking 8 Mile back to just like, you know.
And what's funny too is it feels clearly like they Right, when you bleach your hair like that,
Yeah.
and it's short, it's gonna come out very yellow. It's the amount
Well, they
of
went platinum blonde rather
Yeah.
than regular bleach blonde.
well, I've done the blonde thing before, so the amount of work that it takes to get it to that color, that's not like a one
I
sit
mean, you
deal.
got a
It's
personal hairdresser, so
yeah, it's a whole or is it a wig?
no, the short one could not have been a wig. The long one, it was funny because they dyed his hair, but you could see his roots are still brown.
Yeah.
But then when they shaved his head, what would have been the brown roots was also just the blonde.
Yes.
So
It's clear
they
like they were
clearly
like
had to redo his hair.
they're
And
like
then,
we're gonna shave your head and you gotta let it grow a little bit, and then we're just gonna pour some bleach on your head.
Yeah.
Because that's like the yellow blonde.
yeah.
Like the shitty yellow blonde where he's like, oh, I'm fucking sad.
He was. I also liked how the entire time
Mhm.
you kind of knew he really belonged in the Capitol
Yes.
and everything, because even when he was doing rebellious things, he's like,
Mhm.
I'm going to run from you. I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, you're trying to run away with this girl and you're not trying to have anyone know who the fuck you are. Why are you still wearing your dog tags?
Yes.
And the entire time I was just looking at that, I'm like, because he has no intention of
No part of him ever was actually going to leave.
yeah.
He was going to go along with it and he was going to do things with her, but
Yeah.
he knew that he was never going to be just like
I also
done with
don't
the
think
Capitol and society and things. He was just like a kid who was in love, running away, and once he got wherever they were going to go, he was going to turn around.
I don't think he was gonna kill her though, and I
No.
think she was really horrified of that. And she's like, "Well, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna shoot me now?" And he's like, "No." Like he was genuinely
You know
confused.
what's crazy? You remember the song "Stan" by Eminem? You remember the part in the end of "Stan" where
Do you want? I
where
was a fan.
Stanley Mitchell is his name.
of
Turns
it, it
and
was you.
goes from being like the guy that's like he's troubled and he's dealing
Yeah.
with shit, and then he's like, well, now I'm snapped and I'm gonna kill my wife. She's in the back seat because I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I got the exact same vibe from him, where he was like, I don't want to kill her, but it's the thing I need to do, so I'm gonna do it.
See, I really think the snake was her version of a test.
Yeah,
It was he's gonna get bit. It's gonna make him hallucinate. His true nature is gonna come out. And
Yeah.
if he gets bit and he goes, "Babe, where are you? Like, what the fuck's going on? I'm scared."
he's screaming.
And he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you!"
I got a gun.
And just shooting at birds that may not even be there.
Yeah.
And just unloading. And
Yes.
also, it was such a nice. It was like an old AK, like
Yeah.
with the wood on it and everything. I'm like, just down to the guns and like the speakeasy that she played in. Like
Yes.
it wasn't even a regular. But also, that was the one thing I didn't understand
What
with
are you
that.
talking about?
Where she's playing and everything, and it's like an underground, like kind of
yeah.
shithole looking thing.
How is it that everybody's there and it's this whole like underground hidden thing, but yet all of the
I don't think it was
peacekeepers can
hidden.
just they could just show up? It's like a
I think it was just a bar that happened to be down, but like because they were poor. But that was the thing with the peacekeepers. They showed up, and I'm like, oh, are they just like janitors so no one knows it? And I'm looking around, I'm like, no, that's still their uniform.
Yeah.
Why are they not getting their ass beat
I have
right
no
now?
idea. It was very confusing.
Yeah.
You know what's the last thing I'll say that I kind of like? The thing that I hated that felt unnecessary is when she sang "Hanging Tree."
I was so happy.
I love that it's there
Yeah,
because it has this emotional grip from the original movies.
yeah,
Because Jennifer Lawrence is like it's like a whisper sing, and it's like almost a lullaby
Mhm.
type of thing. And when she does it, right, Rachel Zegler, she's changing the melody deliberately just so it can sound different. It's very similar, but there's certain points where it hangs off, or it's like eighth notes instead of whatever. I can't remember exactly what it is. I understand she wanted to be different, but it really just made me hate it a little bit.
So I'm 100% the opposite on it.
Uh,
She sang it. I didn't specify. I don't know if that's just a song from the district or if you saw her writing a song that then
Yeah.
Katniss winds up singing later
she-
on. And the way that I saw it was she wrote it as more of a folk song. The pain and everything, like kind of a country twang to it. And Katniss just remembered a song when she was younger and sang it as kind of just like whatever. But as you could tell, Katniss can't fucking sing.
No, she can't.
So she
You're really
just
looking at this like a whole ass fucking universe.
I was
This is-
really. That's why
yeah.
I like this movie. So it really drove a lot of like.
And now it's just gonna make me
built
angry.
The universe. It didn't go.
Because-
Oh look, look, it's Obi-Wan. And so I was like, no, here, like everything.
Look, Liam Neeson, he's in the he's a Force Ghost. It makes everything better, right? Even though Leia got captured like 3 times, the series good.
Okay. Everything in
Deep
it
cut.
felt like it was there for a purpose. Every
Yes.
reason was there for a purpose. The way that the stadium was built, the things that you see in the original Hunger Games and everything, a lot of those things are there because of problems that we saw here.
Yes.
And that's what I liked about it. It was not connections; it was genuine world building. And
Yes.
not too
The
many,
correct way to do it too.
No, not too many movies do that, and that's what made this.
And
for
the
me.
worst fucking part is because I'm sure there's no more books, so there's no more actual source material to go off of. Nothing's loading. Okay. I I wonder if we'll even get another one.
I really hope we do.
I'm sure from a monetary perspective, they're like, it's time to milk the shit out of this.
Yeah.
There's only 4, yeah.
So this may be done. When did the song?
I don't know. Years ago.
No, originally published 2020.
Oh,
So it wasn't done, which is why it took this long. So there could be another book that we may get, which if that came out in 2020, it's been 3 years. The final one of the other thing probably came out around like 2016, 2018, around there. Maybe even 2015. I don't know. So there could be a sequel actually in the works right now that they're kind of doing kind of like a Game of Thrones things with. where,
Collins
like,
has
they're
no
developing-
stated plans to write another Hunger Games book
Okay, so
in
never
an
mind.
interview. If Collins had a story in this world with something she wanted to talk about, something to explore, then great. But if not, better to leave a franchise as something people feel fondly about rather than crank out a sequel for the sake of a sequel. That's a quote from the movie's producer.
Okay.
I think I'm fine with that, though.
Yeah.
I think I'm fine with them just being like, there were some rough parts, but
Yeah.
for the most part, we fucking nailed it. So we're just going to leave it at that.
Okay. Kind of what I'm reading is that they said the movie is going to actually have to change the book, and now I don't really
Mhm.
know, like, what changed in the books themselves compared to the movies we originally got, because I only read the first one.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's going to be differences. But
I don't know, man, because I think if there's more, you have more opportunity to like taint things.
yeah,
Like this movie should have been bad. This movie shouldn't have worked. This movie should have fucked up the series. Oh no.
I'm sorry. The quote that I'm reading right now is Green Rant. Shout out.
Of course.
Inevitably, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes movie adaptation will have to make changes from the original novel. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes plot is too long and complicated to adapt for one movie properly.
So then you know what it is? It's probably a faith thing.
Mhm.
Of them being like the last one came out like 8 years ago. You don't have our leading lady in this movie and there's no way to connect it to her.
Yeah.
We can't justify greenlighting like a trilogy or 2 movies or a 2-part or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have one shot to do it. And, no, the movie wasn't delayed. The year's 2023.
No,
No.
nothing was wrong with it. But like,
Mm.
as much as we say that it was long and everything, even though there were parts
regardless, I have no
where I'm like,
complaints.
oh, like this is taking a while and everything,
Yeah.
it did drag me back in.
Yes.
It wasn't just like, okay, let's fucking wrap this up. I was just like, it's still going. Oh,
Awesome.
what's happening? Oh, okay.
Oh, the Hunger Games just ended. There's another hour and basically another movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
How are you going to do that to the Capitol?
like, I didn't
man?
get up to go to the bathroom once during that movie because I didn't
No.
want to miss anything.
Right? So I get the big liter soda. And
Yeah,
I
so
drink
did
that soda before the movie starts because I like the way it tastes. And you know the movie's bad if during it I feel the
Made a
need to get
feeling
up and
of
go
Rainbow
get stop
Jacket.
it. If I get up and feel the need to go get a refill,
Yeah.
I think I've only done that with one movie this year.
Which was?
It's something we saw a couple weeks ago, fairly recently.
Oh, it's because we were in the front row, so it was also easy to go get it. What was
Yes.
that? Wasn't the Marvels? We just saw that. It had
No.
to be a week or two before that.
Yes.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay. So I feel like we've been talking about this for over an hour. Could be
Fucking
wrong.
love this movie.
I'm going to talk about one of the. Oh, we should probably touch on Invincible.
Invincible. Our weekly check-in because there's nothing gigantic happening.
Yeah.
Except for the ending. Basically, we watched Invincible episode 3 today.
Yeah.
It's a bit of meandering. There's a lot of sex. Half
But
the
not
episode's
really.
about Alan.
They handle it very well.
It's very nicely, yes.
Yes.
There's a weird narrator.
Is Alan dead?
I don't know. Oh, Optimus Prime is in it.
Yes.
Who? Ian McKellen. No.
No,
That's
that's not his name. That's Gandalf.
Who voices he? Not Ian McKellen. Who voices
Who
Optimus?
voices Ian McKellen? I hope
Peter
it's him.
Cullen. Peter Cullen. Similar names.
Ian McKellen's a puppet. You heard it here. Just that good of a ventriloquist, he'd never noticed the guy.
I hate you. I hate you. Peter Cullen's in the movie. It's a show. His voice feels incredibly out of place because he just sounds like Optimus Prime.
Can't wait till they get into some vehicles and he's like, roll out. And
He's gonna say it.
you gotta say it.
And then in the end,
Omni-Man
like
shows up.
there's a shape-shifting race of bug people.
Sonic.
What? Sonic the Hedgehog.
I believe it's the guy who voices Sonic.
I'm sure it is. And Omni-Man shows up in the end. First of all, I think this is going to go a couple ways. If it's really him, they pulled the trigger far too early.
Because you need it's a show.
It's about him. I get it.
But
okay.
like otherwise, it's gonna have the Disney Plus thing where you watch the first episode, you're like, what, and then the last one. So something's happening now. I enjoy that.
That's fair. Or it's right out of left field where they're just trying to con him. So somebody shape-shifted into Omni-Man.
I think that's more likely.
Which makes more sense.
Yeah.
Still nice though, because they could have just like had someone else voice him for the trick to be like, "Hey, I'm Omni-Man." But the fact that J.K. Simmons is there and he's like, "Hi, son.
What's up, Mark?
You remember that time I told you to think?
Remember the time I called your mom a fucking pet? Well, look, I got a new one.
This is my new pet.
This one listens. Doesn't have a
She
son
can
that tries
shapeshift
to
into
murder
whoever.
me.
What if he has one of the bugs shapeshift into what the mom looks like? And be like, "I have a new pet. You want to see her?" He's like, "Mom." He's like, "No."
Or if he has a bug shaped into Mark and then he has to fight himself.
They won't have the same powers.
We assume that. We've only met one of them.
That's fair. And he was a dog with
and
magic.
half of it was bullshit. So all of it seems like bullshit. So
dog magic.
Dog magic.
Was it Five Nights at Freddy's? It was.
Anything else happened in the episode that we really got to touch on? Or is it just kind of more leading up to what the real big picture is?
I'm totally down with this show. Right? This is a nice 45, 50-minute whatever. The season, the animation compared to last season is fucking stellar. I'm glad I waited for it. I don't expect it to blow me out of the water. Like we kind of have the expectations for every Marvel show or Star Wars thing that comes out.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to complain when right now it's not meandering, but they're like the overarching story, they're still laying seeds or they're picking up seeds from the previous season.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to steamroll a little bit, even though I know it's a cartoon and they can kind of do the villain of the week thing. And it would make sense with them.
Yeah.
I'm being patient. I got no complaints, but I'm also not loving it. I'm just waiting.
So, the only other thing I've really watched recently that we need to touch on is they just came out with the new Scott Pilgrim animated TV show on Netflix.
I was going to watch it.
I still highly recommend it. Have you seen the movie? I haven't played the game. I haven't read the comics. This show is phenomenal. It somehow feels like the live-action movie, a comic, a video game, and an anime all in one.
Scott Pilgrim takes off.
You know what's crazy about it? I'm in episode 4. Heavy spoilers. Scott Pilgrim dies in episode 1. He's gone. It's Ramona Flowers' story. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Then, in episode 3 or 4, you realize that they're making a movie about Scott Pilgrim if he didn't die, and that's the real life movie.
Oh, shit.
The plot and everything is 1-to-1. And this, instead of him murdering all of her exes, is her going and reconciling with her exes and being sorry I fucked you over, sorry I treated you like shit, and kind of figuring out what's going on with Scott because she's just like, someone framed his death. I'm pretty sure he's still alive. And like, I have to go find him. And you get a deep dive in all these characters that instead of, movie that's an hour and a half where they each get 5-10 minutes of screen time, they have a half an hour episode where you see their flaws, see their relationship and flashbacks with Ramona, and it gets resolved. And by far the craziest thing is when they're doing the movie, the director's on set and it's Edgar Wright.
Oh my God.
And he's voiced by Leakley.
What?
Leakley from Lilo and Stitch, the big-headed dude from Sky High. It's so good. And the entire original cast is there. Every person. And you just get to relearn. They're singing in this, and I know it didn't sound like her in the original one to me, but I'm pretty sure it was. I really don't think she's singing in this, but I assume she is, because, like...
She's doing a lot of singing. She just sang in the Marvels, too.
Yeah.
Or allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
We'll see.
Auto-tune didn't
Maybe
fixed.
I'll watch. It's a half-hour cartoon.
Half-hour cartoon with an incredible art style, and it's... When I say that it feels like the live-action movie, I'm not talking about, like, the story they're telling. I'm talking about, like, because Edgar Wright directed both, his style comes through on both. Yes. And it feels like it genuinely is the same universe.
Yes, a continuation.
Instead of, like,
instead of just a random person being like, I'm going to capitalize on this.
Yeah, just being like, we're going to redo Scott Pilgrim. It feels like the same thing. It's just so good.
I get it. Maybe I'll watch. Maybe I won't.
Yeah.
Truthfully, there's so much shit that we need to watch, especially with the MCU rewatch coming up.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have fucking time.
I got Reacher season 2 coming out in like 2 weeks.
Stop.
Bad Castle.
You
man.
have so much time on your hands. I don't understand how. Because
I just stay up later than you.
that's fair. Yes.
Most of what I watch is like the 2 hours before I go to bed, and I'm half asleep, just like this is good.
I kind of enjoy this a lot.
And then when I really don't feel like paying attention to anything, How I Met Your Mother for like the 5th time.
Fucking love that.
And then
show.
once that's over, Friends. And then once that's over,
How I
that
Met Your
70s show.
Ooh, I like the 1-to-1. Okay, Brendan.
Yeah.
What did we do last week? Tell the people what we reviewed.
Why do I never remember this?
I don't know.
We did the Marvels.
Yes.
We did Loki.
Yes, we did.
And we did some rumors.
A lot of Marvel Studios stuff. I think it was the third week in a row that we talked about the MCU nonstop.
You know what? We do have to touch on this because it's a big fucking deal.
About what?
Pedro Pascal
It's alleged.
Officially offered
yes.
the role, but has not accepted the role of
Because
Mr.
he's
Fantastic,
also filming
Reed
like 3
Richards.
other things right now.
Yes.
I'm
Don't want it. He
here
does
for
not.
it.
I
I
love
don't
him
give a
as an
shit.
actor. He's not Reed Richards.
He could be.
He's not.
Wee.
Got the wrong shaped head. First of all,
okay, no.
look at all the comments.
Stop
Look
it.
at all the people who played them. You got to have the long fucking
I'm
head
done.
and the weird haircut that where it's slicked back.
Enough.
And then you got Pedro Pascal with his like fucking dad cheeks, and he's just like, hey,
Folks,
I'm Pedro Pascal.
please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate all of you. Last week, fucking great. Analytics. People are watching the shit. People like the shit. People are talking to us. Actual nice comments this week.
Yes.
Except for the guy that commented like 10 minutes ago. Fuck that guy.
Tell your friends about us. I know if you made it this far, this doesn't really apply to you, but watch the full episode, not just the shorts. Full episodes are good too.
Somebody commented on our Loki's Glorious Purpose shirt. He said, do I care?
I don't know. You took the time to comment.
I said, I mean, probably.
I don't give a fuck about this thing, so I'm going to fucking write some hateful things to you
Angry
and
comments.
let you know that I don't care. Really? Because if I didn't care, I'd move on with my life.
471.
Yeah.
Have a good night or morning.